Good morning, everybody. The 1st of December. Oh my God. So I'll quickly get to the thing. Welcome to the Michelle Francis YouTube channel. I am Michelle Francis. In case you don't know, who knows. No, the idea was, let me tell you something. I done worked it out. Remember, at that time, there was a lot of issue in the courts pertaining to a successful claim made in favor of my white stepmother. Yeah? So then here comes Huey. All of a sudden, Huey Rose is proposing to me that I come and live with him in Northern Ireland and be the mother of his daughter. Yeah? Then at first I thought, yeah, because I didn't even know he had a daughter. That was hidden from me all these years. I didn't even know he had a secret daughter. Then, who's 10 years old. Then he sent me the voice recording of her voice. And I noticed she sounds very like immature. Because if you hear her voice, she sounds like 4 or 5 years old. But she's actually 10 years old. So I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe she could have autism or something like that, yeah? So I said, because my youngest daughter's got special needs, and I said, that's good, because I'm good with children with special needs, learning disabilities, and things like that. So, basically, then another thing is, yeah, he basically is, I noticed he's spoiling her. He spoiled her too much. He turned around and said, oh, me and my daughter's mother, we buy her everything she wants, and we spend lots and loads of money on her. We just spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on a bed, a 4-poster bed for her in Africa the other day. Italian design. So I thought, I'm a 10-year-old. And then I started to realize he said she doesn't want for nothing. She's got everything. So I thought, to myself, he's spoiling her. They're actually spoiling her. So then I started to notice there's something else that you lot are missing. You wouldn't be able to pick it up, maybe. I don't know. They're trying to replay the situation with my stepmother, my white stepmother, and my black Jamaican father. Because my white stepmother met my dad with 2 young black girls, 2 young black daughters, me and Yvonne. Now, we were infants. And I was around 2 or 3 years old. So it was like I was very loved by my real mother at that, stage in my life. So my dad was very doting on me as the youngest child, his youngest daughter. So when my stepmom, obviously my stepmom sort of like felt resentful that this little 2-year-old, 3-year-old girl is getting a lot of attention from her father, who my white stepmother is having a relationship with and living with. So I seem to be getting more attention than her. So she get jealous because she was only 18 years old when she met my dad. So basically, they're trying to say that daddy, I cut a long story short. So daddy, she became our mom. She looked after us. We left home. I left home at 16. She had 2 children later on, 2 mixed race children to my dad later on. And basically, before I left home, daddy was having an affair with a younger black woman. Yeah? So she's white, my stepmom. And my dad's obviously a black Jamaican man. And he's took up a young 24-year-old girl and fall in love with her. Her name was Karen, who was obviously prettier and better looking, a nice figure, voluptuous, more than my stepmom, a lot more than my stepmom. So my stepmom started crying on my shoulder and telling me the problem. And he said, the thing is about it, the real thing is that he's in love with her, and he no longer loves my stepmother. He didn't love her anymore. So the idea is that the white power structure feels that my dad used my stepmother to bring up his first two children, to bring up his children. And then when the children are grown up and reach that age where they're independent and they don't need a mother anymore to look after them, they're trying to say daddy then goes and gets a younger woman. Yeah? And basically, where my stepmother stayed at home and didn't study or get any extra qualifications or any other training, so that when she reaches a certain stage where the kids have grown up, she can go back into work. So coincidentally enough, the racist white power structure actually gave her a job as a social worker or social services just before she died. You know what I mean? They stuck her in there because she had no qualifications or nothing. And she was a very abusive mother. So she should never have been working in there. They gave her that job favor because they wanted to say, well, look, she can do this job, but she couldn't. She wasn't capable. My white stepmom chose not to work, chose not to be educated, chose not to do training. She liked to sleep and go to party and work at her own convenience. She worked illegally in the blues, selling the alcoholic behind the bar. You know what I mean? And that's what she wanted to do. That's what she enjoyed doing, because it was like she was clubbing, enjoying herself at the same time. Because she told me before she met my dad, she was always out clubbing. And you remember, she was only 18 when she met my dad. So maybe she was clubbing from she was 14 years old. And you tell me. So basically, the idea is that they managed to convince Huey to say, okay, basically take her over there, make her your wife, let her look after your daughter, bring her up, and then because Huey wanted to subdue me. He didn't want me to be educated, because I'd already decided a 5-year plan to go back to to get higher education, to go back to education, further education, and get a university degree and masters in law, and practice my own business, and stuff like that. Plus I had projects to help organizations to set up. But they told Huey, don't let her do nothing, because how they said it to him is, if you give her a chance to be independent, these strong black women, she's gonna walk away, she's gonna you're not gonna be able to control her, she's not gonna want to do the house chores and stuff like that. They came from that angle to try to convince him that way, but that wasn't really the issue. Because in the West, they promote independence from women. They promote women to be independent. Yeah? But what they wanted to do was racist. Because my white stepmother, they felt she brought up these two black children and she didn't get the opportunity to do anything, training, education, be independent. She solely depended on my dad and the benefit system. And then when the children grew up, daddy fucked off and fell in love with a younger black woman from round the corner. So they wanted to recreate that against me, because the white power structure are angry with me. Yeah, I was only fucking 2 and 3 years old when she met daddy, and I've got nothing to do with the fact that daddy wanted her to be a stay-home mom. You understand? It's got nothing to do with me. Those were the men them time there. That was their mentality. You see? And they're angry with me always, because they're always blaming me for everything about this woman, my white stepmother. And it's very, very racist. That's why originally, when they made the case in the court in my white stepmother's favor behind my back, recent years, I did not know about it, but they kept telling me on social media. They said they've been bringing in your documents behind your back. They've done a power of attorney against your name. And I did actually receive a letter a couple of years ago saying you have been formally assessed as having no mental capacity. And it just dropped through the letterbox from a solicitor who I don't know. So I knew definitely what they were saying on social media was true, because I did receive a letter around that time from an unknown solicitor, and it just said, you have been formally assessed as having no mental capacity, end of story. So that means they were going behind my back, assessing me as mentally, telling the court that I'm mentally have no mental capacity. Therefore, they have to get a power of attorney to act in my thing there. So that's why I know I can sue. Lot of reasons like that I can sue with a solicitor, the mental health, NHS, social services, the police, and the education authority, because all these things they were doing, they were going behind my back saying she's got no mental capacity, yeah, when I was living independently on my own with no support, no help, and I was struggling, and I suffered and incurred a lot of illnesses and losses and suffering as a result of having no duty of care. And at exactly the same time, they wrote a letter, because they had to let me know, send it to my house, to formally say, we have assessed you as having no mental capacity, and it was from an unknown solicitors that I never instructed, and that was it. So they have to put that formally through the post. So I know now, because of that, they can't have it both ways, because they went to the court and said she's got no mental capacity and made a case, using my name, without me being there, without me contributing, without me knowing, without me knowing what documents of mine they're stealing and using. Now, because of that, they have to pay me as a mental health patient now. That all these decades, they had a duty of care to me. And they've clearly exploited that when it's been in their advantage. And I've got nothing out of it. And at the end of the day, I did nothing in the first place. I mean, all this bullshit about I'm supposed to be a lesbian and this, and it's all a bullshit. It was all a lie. When my wife, clearly, the issues were never that, but you lot have all been fooled. Because the black people in the black community and stuff like that, they're just two-faced. They just turned around and attacking black individuals for no fucking reason other than Daddy was bisexual. That's why I said Diddy has to go. He has to be, he has to be free. He has to go from that prison and be free with his family. That was it with the black community. They didn't like the fact that Daddy was bisexual and he's sleeping with woman and man, secretly sleeping with man at the same time. So they feel, remember there was a lot of heightened stigma around HIV them time there, and say, oh, he's a gay man that spread the disease because them asleep undercover with man and then will go back to woman. And that's how you got the black community so hateful and starting to attack and target the children, which is me and my black sister Yvonne, for no reason. We did nothing to the black community. They just sold us out because they didn't regard us. They didn't respect us because Daddy what? Daddy was bisexual. So as far as they're concerned, your daddy's a batty man. Your daddy is workless. He's putting women at risk. I remembered Daddy fell in love with a black woman as well. Later on, a younger black woman. So they probably tested Daddy or tricked Daddy to see if he will still go back undercover and sleep with a man and then go back to the black woman. And they tried to say that's how she's put at risk. Him put black woman at risk. That's how they got the black community's favor, because they tricked, they used the black community like that to trick Daddy, because they needed the black people's favor, the black community's favor, to come up against this man and his two black children. And the black community were very easily misled, very sensitive. Jumping, the nation of Islam, everybody jumping on. Oh, who is this batty man? I spread out the black man. I spread out disease and spread out. You see, that's how they got the black favor. But the black community will never admit and say sorry to the two black children that we didn't do nothing. But instead, they're trying to justify it. They can never. The only reason why I can beat the black Even the black community alone and the Asian community, the Muslim community, how did I could beat them just like that? But the white power structure are blocking me. They won't let me go into the court and prove because they know I'm going to win. And if I win, ultimately, against these groups, ultimately, I win against the white power structure. Because clearly it will be evident in the court, these people had no reason to come up against you, Miss Francis, as a black woman. Clearly, it was the white power structure manipulating it. The evidence will be all there. So ultimately, I will beat the white power structure just by proving my case against these groups. So that they had no right to attack me, that I absolutely did nothing. And where it all started from and why. I would win. So that's why my hands are tied and I'm here. And they use, when Huey wanted, because I know when she started to act like a sport brat, and I thought, oh my, I never behaved like that with my stepmother. Because remember, I did grow up with my Jamaican black father as well, and he was very strict, and I was a very obedient child. I wouldn't spoil like that, like Huey's daughter. But the point is, that's what it's really all about, you see. And they are empowering these black and Asian and this stupid idiot against me because the white power structure is scared. They know if given half a chance to prove my case against the blacks, these people within the black community, the Asian community, the Muslim community, the whatnot, I would beat them all in court. I would prove that none of these groups had any right, excuse or justification or validation to come up against me. And in fact that they were used, I would prove in the court, they were used by the white power structure. They were manipulated and they feel embarrassed and ashamed of themselves because they know they had no right to come up against a black female from infant all the way through her life. They know they had no reason. They know they're guilty. They know they did that because they just didn't value young black women or black women. They didn't respect that because they didn't like the father. They didn't respect the father because he was homosexual. And he was having homosexual sex in the closet while sleeping with other women. So I would win my case hands down in the court. But the white power structure won't allow me because they know I win. And ultimately that means I win the white power structure because the court would know, because they're intelligent enough to know that was just racism, institutional racism, and they pushed up the ethnic communities against me. Because obviously they're very sensitive when it comes to homosexuality and a man in the closet, a black man sleeping around, especially them days when it was only just legalized in the UK. Remember, back home them time it wasn't legal. It was homosexuality was not legalized. So for a black man to be running around, sleeping around, it was not even legal back home. So there you are. So they're trying to get me, because they feel, oh, my stepmom married. Really, the white power structure are angry because they are the racist ones and homophobic. They are homophobic and racist because they are the white power structure are the one that hated the fact that this young, poor 18-year-old Roman Catholic, that's what they call her, Roman Catholic, even though she was boogieing party before she met my dad. She was going to the nightclub every night, every weekend from 14 years old. But they claimed she was a young, sweet, innocent Roman Catholic girl who met this black Jamaican homosexual man that was in the closet, sleeping with men and putting her at risk of HIV. And that's why they made these stories and set up this situation to manipulate the black, Asian, Muslim, everybody against his children. That's why I fight for P.Diddy. I understand through and through the situation, and I love P.Diddy because P.Diddy is my dad. So when that pussy all I put, I think he's called Kevin Lovable on Facebook, and I put, oh, pedophiles for dead. Are you talking about my father? Because I tell you, everybody, if you don't know already, my dad was accused of being a pedophile, arrested and charged and put on trial. You know what I mean? Back in the 1970s. So are you trying to say my dad for dead? You're pussy. Hey, listen, them man, they can't chat to me, you know. They can't chat to me. So listen, they must stay far from me. They can't bring them dirty argument to me. Because they embarrass me, I go embarrass them. They must stay far away from me and put their bullshit there on write their whatever they want to write on Facebook. So I love my dad to pieces. He's a beautiful person. He's so talented. He's so intelligent. He had a disadvantage. He was a mommy's boy, my dad. So people say that P.Diddy was a geek. So was my dad. My dad was a geek, you know. My grandparents had loads of children, yeah. But my dad was the only one that used to wear glasses and hang around his mummy all the time. He loved mummy. And he was very close to his mummy. And he wouldn't leave his mummy's hem. Skirt hem. My dad was the geek out of all of the children that my grandparents have. That's why I love P. Diddy, because you know what I mean? I love P. Diddy, and I'm the woman for you, because I don't think anybody in the world will be able to understand you like me, because of what I've been through, you know, with my dad, and the understanding that I have that I can see and that people refuse to see because they feel embarrassed that they've allowed the system, the racist apartheid system, to use them up against their own people and not show them to respect you. I love you and respect you. They must understand that you are important. You know what I mean? You are the black man, and look at our history and everything, where we're coming from. It's important to recognize the damage that has occurred onto us as a people since the transatlantic slave trade. This is very important. But I want to marry you because I will marry a man like my dad, and fuck anybody else. That's why I'm so confident. They can't do me nothing. I don't know little broke man from the ghetto, because they don't have no respect. They don't have no value for women like me. So God told me, you know what? P. Diddy really is like is in a way, that's your dad. So just like a lot of guys say they will marry a woman like their mom. That's what a lot of guys say. Well, I will marry a man like my dad. So I don't mind if people say these things, or if there's a situation with your sexuality. I will understand you, and I will be caring and nurturing and supportive and loyal and faithful and be there for you. But the choice is yours. You don't have to choose me. But I'm gonna still fight for you, P. Diddy, to be free from prison, because you're not should in there. You know what I mean? It's a principle, and I'm trying to let the white power structure hear me. But what it is, they've got a prejudice, the fact that daddy put a white woman, as far as they're concerned, at risk, and he had another mixed race child to another white woman since he's been in Britain. And if you look closely, P. Diddy, you've got like white, some of your baby mamas are like, they look like not white, but is it Filipino kind of thing like that. So my white mum was Eastern European. I support you, I love you, and yeah, I support you and I love you. So I understand you, and I'm not letting it go. I'm still fighting for my little corner, my tiny little corner in the globe. I'm still fighting for you, P. Diddy. I love you, and by the grace of God and his love and his mercy, you know, every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus is Lord, you know what I mean? And that he's the power, and understand him, you know. And all and each and every one of us in our relevance here and our purpose.